Welcome to my cultural presentation number 2, where I'll be discussing journalism education and practice in Mexico. Before I can discuss how they practice and how they're being taught, I gotta discuss the state of journalism in Mexico. I went to this study by Joanna Cleary, where she cited Professor Mary Fromson, who said that in Mexico, journalism is facing shortage of well-trained editors and reporters. And many of these reporters and editors learn on the job. Universities do not teach students to be critical thinkers. Aside from that, they're facing a lack of respect, bribery, intimidation, and sometimes death. There's also this lack of a sense of professionalism in the journalism world, but Fernando Reyes Mata makes a case that it's kind of unfair to try to put this sense of professionalism in Latin American journalism. And I quote, "Professionalism is controversial in Latin American media. It's a concept that advocates practices including neutrality and objectivity that are not applicable to Latin American media because a lot of these countries are facing corrupt governments, drug cartels, very unfair to try to put this sense of professionalism." So then it goes a case about how do they go about that? How do they bring that as professionalism? Well, Mexican journalism is heavily oriented toward poorly taught theory, and that's because of lack of resources. But there are schools like Reforma who are doing things like internships and seminars to teach these students how to be better journalists. So Ricardo Elizondo, he's a Harvard-educated person, and he teaches at Reforma. And one of the things that's important for him, and I quote, "Teaching Reforma values is huge. My objective every year is to find new ways to nail them with values." That's important in journalism, to instill values into reporters, because if you have values, they have ethics, they have morals, they're going to tend to do what's right or what's best for the people. That's what they teach us at Walter Cronkite, and I can see that similar in what they're trying to instill in these reporters. So now when it's like working in the field, it's like I said before, it's unfair to compare U.S. journalism to Mexico journalism. It's going to be very different. I won't be able to tell you. And unfortunately, did not get to speak with a professional, but I looked online to articles where they are interviewed. And there's an article from The Guardian from Patricia Mayorga. She spoke about what it's like to work in Mexico, and what they do is applied. What they learn in schools is obviously going to be applied to what they do. And she said, I quote, "We work under siege from all sides, from cartels to the government. We work among those who try to control and destroy journalism." And what she says can be seen in this next video. It's on the next slide. It's stories from female crime journalists in Juarez. And what's crazy about what they do is they're in such a dangerous city. This video is a couple years old, but this gives you a sense of how it is working as a journalism, how they use what they're taught into practice. Because you got to be working in a place that's corrupt and full of cartels and danger. You got to be able to have those values of ethics, morals, and be able to say no to bribes, which is something that Reforma is teaching them as well, is to say no to bribes, to fly straight. The takeaways from the video is that working as journalists in Mexico is obviously very difficult. And what these women said in the video, it's crazy. They said that they've become war correspondents. And it's become so dangerous, they got to take so many security precautions to do their job. As the woman said, their paper doesn't even have a byline. That's an important part of the story. You got to know who wrote it. It's so dangerous to the point that you can't even put the name of the person who wrote the story in the paper for their safety. When the reporters went to the Southside Cathedral in Juarez and said that it was closed off because reporters are being threatened, that's not something that you see in America. Of course, the climate is a lot different now in America. Journalists are not really respected as they were before due to the president, but they're not being threatened. Their livelihood is not being threatened. It's a very different climate. And when you train these people in Mexico to fly straight, you instill values in them, teach them how editing style, you get women reporters as brave as the one that are in the video. They're doing their job, reporting, trying to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. In the video, you see them reporting this one woman claiming that she had to report 12 deaths or about 20 deaths in like 10 to 12 hour shift. That's a hard job. So what you get from this presentation is that it's very difficult to be a reporter in Mexico. Yeah, they got their schools and instill them values, and they do apply it. You can see in the video, you can see in the article, they got to fly straight, report the facts. They have their values, their morals, and their ethics, and they're doing their job. These are the sources you want to look at them. Thank you for listening to my presentation.